You know, in the business world, data is absolutely everywhere. But just having the data, that's not enough. You've got to make sense of it. And to do that, you need the right tools for the job. So let's dive in and open up the Business Intelligence Toolbox to see what's inside.
I just love this quote because it perfectly frames the two ways people work with data. It's a really powerful analogy that we're going to keep coming back to. So, which one are you? Are you a farmer harvesting something you already know is there? Or are you an explorer charting brand new territory?
All right, let's break this down. A farmer needs predictable, reliable stuff. Think about your monthly sales figures, right? They're just harvesting a known crop. But an explorer, well, they're asking new, spontaneous questions. They're on the hunt for those unexpected insights and patterns. And as you can imagine, the tools they each need are going to be totally different.
Okay, but before we even think about picking up a tool, we need to know what we're actually doing with the data. We need a common language, and that's where these 5 fundamental actions, let's call them the 5 core data moves, come into play. Pretty much every analyst makes these moves.
So let's talk about these moves. Slicing is easy. It's like taking one slice of the pie, say looking at sales but only in Germany. Drilling down is just zooming in, going from your total sales for Germany down to the sales for each city. And rolling up, you guessed it, that's just zooming back out. Now dicing and pivoting, they're similar. They're both about changing your perspective. Think of dicing as turning a whole Rubik's Cube to look at a new side, like switching from analyzing sales by product to sales by region. Pivoting is more like just swapping the axes on a chart you're already looking at to see if a different layout reveals something new.
All right, so we've got the why, our farmer, and our explorer. And we've got the what, the core data moves. So now let's get to the how. It is time to crack open that toolbox and see what actually makes these moves happen.
Welcome to the Toolbox. We're going to look at 5 major categories of tools in here. And each one is built for different tasks. And, yup, for our different types of users, those farmers and explorers we've been talking about.
And here they are, the 5 big tool families. We're going to start with the everyday stuff like reporting and quick analysis. Then we'll move into the really cool visual tools. And we'll finish up with the heavy machinery, the serious power tools for deep analysis like OLAP and data mining. First things first, let's cover the basics.
First up, we've got reporting tools. This right here is the farmer's combine harvester. It is built for one thing, efficiency through repetition. You know, your standard monthly financial reports or quarterly summaries. You set it up once, and it just harvests the exact same structured information reliably every single time. It's for the questions you already know you need to ask.
And now, for our explorer. Interactive query tools are their absolute go-to toolkit. This is for when you have that sudden question, that, I wonder why sales spiked in Phoenix last Tuesday moment. These tools are all about that ad hoc, on-the-fly, user-driven digging that lets you slice and dice to your heart's content. Then we get to a category of tools that's incredibly useful for both the farmer and the explorer. And honestly, it's getting more critical by the day. Data visualization. It's all about turning those endless rows and columns of numbers into something our brains can actually understand in a flash. And this is where things get really cool. See, our brains are just wired for visuals, not for spreadsheets. So tools like Tableau or ClickView, they're designed to tap right into that. They create these dynamic, graphical displays that make complex data just pop. You can spot a trend or an outlier in seconds instead of spending hours staring at a table.
Okay, so we've covered the everyday stuff. Now it's time to get into the really specialized heavy-duty power tools of the BI world. And we're going to start with something called OLAP, which stands for Online Analytical Processing.
So the most important thing to get about OLAP is that it comes in 2 main flavors. You've got ROLAP, which uses the standard database tables you might already have. It's way easier to set up if you know SQL, but can be slower because it has to do the math on the fly. Then there's MOLAP. This one's different. It pre-builds a special data cube. It's like it solves a Rubik's Cube in every possible combination ahead of time and stores the answers. It takes work to build, but once you ask a question, the answer is instantaneous. It's that classic trade-off, right? Do you want something that's easy to set up, or do you want something that's going to give you lightning-fast answers later?
And finally, we have the detective tools, statistics, and data mining. Now, they look kind of similar, but the biggest difference here is just scale. Statistical tools traditionally work with samples of data to figure things out. But data mining tools, they are built for the age of big data. They are designed to sift through absolutely massive data sets to find hidden patterns and even make predictions. It's like the difference between polling 1,000 people and analyzing the entire country's census data.
So, we've seen everything in the box. Now for the million-dollar question, how do you choose the right one for you? Look, it's never ever about which tool is the best in general.
It's always about which tool is the best fit for your specific job.
So when you're making a choice, don't get distracted by all the flashy features. You gotta ask the tough questions. Is this thing gonna work on my team's phones? Is our data gonna be secure? For real though, can it actually connect to the databases we already use, or is that gonna be a huge headache? And maybe most importantly, what's the real cost? Not just the price tag, but the cost of getting everybody trained and ready to actually use it.
And that brings us right back to where we started. We've gone through the core data moves, we've looked at all the tools in the BI Toolbox. You've got a framework now. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. When you show up to work and look at your data, are you the farmer, carefully tending to your known crops, or are you the explorer, heading out into the great unknown? Your answer will tell you exactly where in the toolbox you need to start looking.